This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today as ever to be joined by top trainer Mark Tibbs. Mark, off the back of a busy weekend, I know you were down at Wembley with a few of your fighters. We saw one of the most monumental occasions in boxing history for this country. But before that, how is everything? You're good?
Lovely, Josh. It was a great weekend. Brilliant spectacle down at Wembley Stadium for sure. Had a great time. Johnny Hedges was there. Giorgio Vizioli, Tommy Fletcher. My three charges. It was great. I said to them, "Oh, this is all there for you. Don't f it up." This is
Well,
what they've got if they play the game and work hard.
well, before we dive into the fights, what was it like just being able to sit there, obviously, and be with your fighters, been that different environment? You know, you're all at a show together, you're all there to see the same thing. Um, Was there any point, I guess, where apart from obviously you mentioned saying to them this is all there for you, could you almost still been somewhat coaching that night and having them look at certain fighters, especially when we saw the level of the fighters on the card, it was filled with lots of elite talent. Were you able to look at those fighters and say, you know, there's some little bits that they do that we could look at adding to your game?
Yeah, well, it's common sense, really, Josh. That you know where my guys are right now, that all them fighters were where they were. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just a process they've got to go through. They're on that platform. They're on a platform. So to be on a platform is somebody else's dream, and they are on a platform. So it's all there for them. They've just got to keep boxing and entertaining, and not take what they've got for granted. Yeah.
And obviously, we'll dive straight into things now. We'll start off by looking at the main event: Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. A huge upset as Daniel Dubois dominated and demolished Anthony Joshua in 5 rounds. Sat ringside, what was going through your head while you were watching the fight?
Uh, it was an exciting fight for sure, and I didn't think. I thought AJ was probably his worst performance, to tell the truth. Uh, and I did say last week, we'll see on Saturday night whether AJ's plateaued or declining, and but can't take nothing away from Daniel Dubois. He never folded when he traded. And there was art, there was craft in his work for sure. Credit to Don Charles for sure. Yeah, for bringing him along, and yeah, done a great job with him.
And you mentioned obviously Anthony Joshua plateauing and obviously some saying the decline. Do you feel that was just a one-off slip-up bad night at the office, or could this possibly be the age catching up to Anthony Joshua now and all the tough fights that he has had? Could this all be catching up to him?
Yeah, I mean every dog has its day, and he's had a wonderful career. Anthony Joshua, is an understatement to say that. So listen, he's done it all. He's done everything, and he's achieved. He's achieved, time and time again. And yeah, so he's. I don't know if I'd like to see him fight again, to tell the truth, but with performances like that, you know what I'm saying. But that's just me. But no, he's gave us fans mountains of pleasure in the last decade for sure, and more in boxing. Yeah.
And for Daniel Dubois, what do you feel his biggest key to success was? What was that real factor that gave him that edge?
Well, for sure, it must have been the quality fights he's had in his last two or three fights, and he's certainly more resilient mentally, and yeah, and he's counter punching, and and you could see there was a game plan there. You could see that. You know what I'm saying? So credit to him. He's got his nut down. He worked really, really hard. You can tell that. You can see that. Not saying that Anthony has. He's just coming to the end, I believe. Anthony Joshua, yeah, I believe that. But we'll see.
How impressed were you by how fast the war started as well? Because some people said this fight is all based on whoever lands first, and it seemed to be a big difference in the pace that they were coming out with, and we saw Dubois landed first, and that's how it played out.
Yeah, I thought it was a great strategic move by Dubois, starting fast and being the young lion. The old lion, as in AJ, would have felt that. He would have felt that, and he didn't win a round for me, Anthony Joshua. I think he might have shared one round, but yeah, he would have felt like the old dog in there. You know what I'm saying? I believe you. I think he would. But the young line come through. Yeah, he's done well, Dubois. Yeah.
And we've always spoke about, especially in recent time, Daniel Dubois' mentality. But I think Saturday night, would you say we probably saw the most confident and fired up Daniel Dubois we've ever seen?
Say again, Josh.
One thing that's been a big talking point with Dubois is his mentality. And obviously, in recent time, we've been talking about the improvements that we've seen. But Saturday night, would you say that was probably the most relaxed but fired up Dubois we've ever seen?
Yeah, and a very, very mature performance from him, indeed. Very, very mature, for sure, from Daniel Dubois. All of that, what you said, but most importantly, a mature performance.
And looking at the future for him, first of all, what fights would you like to see Daniel Dubois in next? Obviously, that was his first defense of his IBF title. But out of the heavyweights that are out there now, who would you like him to fight next?
I'd like to see Daniel. Obviously he's at the top there now. It's got to be up the top there. So they're all there for him. I'd like to see him fight. Well, he's there. He can fight more. We can fight Usyk. He got to fight the winner of Usyk and Tyson, and people like that. I think. Who's the other fella? Australian Parker.
Yeah, Joseph Parker.
Yeah, Joseph Parker. He's there to fight them all. But what comes to mind is the winner of Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk.
And how would you see Daniel Dubois getting on against the winner of Fury versus Usyk?
Well, do you know what? Look at them both the other night, and look at them both fight the other night. I was pleased for Daniel for his beautiful performance, but I think them styles struggle with outstanding boxers. Do you know what I'm saying? But listen, determination, belief, and his newfound confidence have upset many of apple carts in the past, and so it's not impossible.
And then for Anthony Joshua, the future looks uncertain. Fans are debating whether he should retire or not. But Eddie Hearn has revealed that there is a rematch clause in the contract which they can activate and get a rematch with Daniel Dubois. First of all, do you have any interest in a rematch between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois?
Personally, no. I would, as I said before, I think he's done it all, Anthony Joshua. And I wouldn't like to see another performance like that from Joshua. I don't think none of us would. And yeah, I wouldn't like to see him perform like that again. Only him and his team and himself will know where they are, and what mistakes, if they were mistakes, if they can be corrected, or if it's just a matter of it's run its course. So it's unfair for me to say. Just as a fan, I wouldn't like to see him fight like that again. No.
Do you see any change in outcome and performance if there is to be a rematch?
Say again?
Do you see any change in the result if there is to be a rematch between Joshua and Dubois?
Well, it could have been a bad night in the office. It's not for me to say. I'm not around the team or camp enough to know the ins and outs of only his close people know that, but just through my time in the business and watching and working with fighters, he can't afford to have another performance like that. That's for sure.
And then people have started the
Too
talk,
dangerous. It's far too dangerous.
and then people have started the talks again about Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, especially both off the back of defeats. Do you feel that's a fight that should get made?
Well, listen, look, as I say, I'm just a fan in this, and although I say what I said, if the fight was to get made, we'd all get caught up in the build-up, and I would buy into it. Yeah, but I wouldn't like to see. I wouldn't like to see Anthony Joshua underperform, not against a big puncher, a knockout artist like Deontay Wilder. Because a man like Deontay Wilder, all fighters, they always carry that power to the very, very end. Yeah.
And then just back to Daniel Dubois very quickly. People mentioned he wouldn't be able to take the right hands from Anthony Joshua, but when we look at the way the fight finished, he actually took a couple right hands from Anthony Joshua, and we saw that not only was he resilient to it, but he also has the chin on him. How impressed were you with the way Daniel Dubois set up that finish?
Super, super impressed. I mean, as I say, I use that term like there was craft in his work. And obviously that was the final piece he put together. He rode the two shots, the two right-handers, he rode them. He allowed Anthony to come forward, Joshua to come forward, and the straight ones always beat the uppercuts or the hooks. The straight ones beat them. And he went crack, and as you saw yourself, it was a piece of a punch, and that was the final straw.
You feel in that finish there was, I guess you could say, watching it as a fan, a lack of awareness from Anthony Joshua in forgetting the dangers that were going to be coming back to him, and ultimately paid ultimate cost for it.
Sorry, Josh, say again.
So watching it as a fan, do you feel in the way that fight finished there was almost a bit of a lack of awareness from Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, there was some behaviour that didn't make sense. If that makes sense. It didn't go what was going on in the performance, and that was very, very odd. And it didn't. It was too confident, and it was too confident, a little bit cocky. It was unnecessary because he should have been concentrating on the job in hand. Was he underestimating Daniel or what? But, whatever it was, and Daniel did a great job. Yeah, he done a great job in overpowering and putting his shots together in good fashion. Yeah.
And just looking at the undercard, out of all the fights that you saw on Saturday night, which fighter were you most impressed by outside the main event?
Josh, I'm going to be straight with you. I went there to only watch the main card. I hate to say that. What a card it was. What a lineup it was. I got there during the Buatsi fight, but it was so much going on. I met some good friends of old and new, and I was catching up with all them, and I never focused. I wanted to watch Hamza, because I know what a great fighter he is, and I didn't get to watch anything but the main card.
No,
so I apologise, Josh, for that.
Fair enough, Mark. Fair enough. Just very lastly, it is fight week for a few of your fighters, Giorgio Vizioli and Joel Bartel. I know we've already spoke about this, but fight week's here. What performances do you look for them to display when they get in the ring this weekend?
Well, I hope they're nice and fit. They're ready. They've had all the right sparring, all the right time. They should be lovely and balanced and firing up. They're Joel Bartel is fighting on Friday on the Channel 5 show, Wasserman. And Giorgio Vizioli's up in Sheffield on the Saturday on the DAZN card, Matchroom Boxing. And both are absolutely on fire in the gymnasium. And I'm pretty confident they're going to turn it on Friday and Saturday night for sure. Yeah.
How does a fight week look for yourself when you've got two fighters out, but not exactly like they're close to each other? You've got one out in London and then one out in Sheffield. I know they're obviously on different nights, but you've got the fight week build up to it. How does that week look for you? Obviously, making sure that they're both ready to go.
Yeah, well, fight week, like I like to see him on the Monday, like today. I've just finished with Joel and Giorgio, and their weights are perfect. They've had a good bit of rounds with myself, pads, and some technique stuff. And I'm happy where they're at. I'm happy with their weights. Also, I'm getting Tommy Fletcher ready for the 15th of October in London, York Hall. So I got him in early before the other two that are fighting. But this week is fight week. All they're going to do is taper, stay loose, plenty of fresh air in the plenty of walks, fresh air. Make sure they're nice and loose and maintain their weight. And yeah, and that's all they've got to do is stay fight ready and work towards making their weight. One's on Thursday, weigh in, and one's on the Friday.
Well, Mark, best of luck this weekend. Thank you for your time. I'm not going to hold you any longer, as I'm sure you've got a very busy week ahead. So thank you as always for your time. We'll catch up again soon.
Cheers, Josh. Thank you very, very much.